Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, the flippin' Fiend.
WWE's title plans are reportedly dead in the water.
MJF is reportedly paid 4 or 5 times less than other top AEW talents.
And why Lacey Evans missed Raw this week. I'm Adam Wilborn.
And I'm Andy Murray.
And this
is the Fiend.
News.
Right, we're going to kick things off by talking about the Fiend.
Yes!
The former Fiend, the former Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda. He's been teasing and pleasing on social media, hasn't he? He's been firing off some teasy-weezies. He's basically suggesting to people that he's going to be coming back soon. So, a couple of tweets to go through here. The first one's a bit more in-depth than the second one.
Is it cryptic bollocks?
He swears and stuff, so it's kind of fun. He says, everything good that's ever happened to me first came a period of horrible suffering. I never ask why, I just wait for the rough part to end. I was chosen for whatever reason, and I've got to do. It doesn't hurt anymore, it burns like the Fiend. I'm ready now. I'm tired of watching. Tired of hearing irrelevant clowns speculate how I'll be perceived. That's presumably us. Specifically us.
Yes.
Tired of hearing about my greed, my desire questioned. Wherever and whenever I decide to return, I'll remind everyone why they know my name again and again. Believe in me. Believe in the Fiend. He didn't say believe in the Fiend. He said hashtag I found it. And then he followed this up with a real simple one here. Patience. It's almost time. So, Wyndham Rotunda, certainly, if he's not got something lined up, he wants you to think that he's got something lined up. He's got the number 6 in his name. It's Wyatt 6. Interestingly, lore in his Twitter name these days. Some people have been speculating that means maybe he will be returning in the 6th month of the year, June, which is right now. Interesting stuff. He's been out of work since when was it? July last year?
That was still a stunner.
A real stunner. And he's not re-emerged in pro wrestling since. He's obviously been working on his horror movie, which I'm sure he's probably had a great time doing because that stuff always influenced his wrestling work. And, the guy has a massive loyal fan. Like, people who like Bray Wyatt don't like Bray Wyatt. They adore the guy.
Stan, I believe, is the word.
Super Stan. Yeah, people love the guy. And I think wherever he goes, he's probably going to bring those people with him to a degree. So, yeah, it's still the biggest name free. We obviously have fun with the Fiend on the news. It's fair to say.
Yes.
But, he's the biggest name free agent on the market, and he's clearly sought after. We'll see where he lands.
Yeah, he's definitely got an aura about him and his character, especially over the WrestleMania weekend when we go to WrestleCon or whatever it's flipping called and walk around and go, oh, look, there's so-and-so, let's get them for an interview. I remember me and Hamlet walking down the hall and Wyndham walked past us and you just knew it was someone incredibly important because everyone was just like, and there's there's everyone there. Yeah. There's legends from across the business there. And people are like, oh my God, there's that guy.
Mr. Football.
Yeah, exactly. A couple of predictions for you. Number 1, I think it's Wyndham 6 because he's a fan of Henry VIII and his 6 wives.
Right.
That's what I think it's actually calling.
Tag team with Eve 6,
when have I ever been wrong with these predictions, Andy? I think that the Fiend is going to return to that wild Nottingham show this weekend. When have I ever been wrong?
It's been postponed until next month.
What?
Right? Actually, what if the plan all along, he's got number 6 in his name here, he's actually starting a rap group.
The Wyndham 6.
Fiend 6 Mafia. You can have that one for free. Anyway, continue.
Have you ever seen Bray Wyatt and Alistair Overeem in the same place? I'm just asking questions here.
Enter the Fiendy 6 chambers.
Would you like to... Oh, actually, I was going to ask you a question there, but there is a question I've just reminded myself about Bray Wyatt / the flipping Fiend in the Twitter questions a little bit later. But, I don't know. Do you think WWE would have him back?
Yeah, for sure.
It feels like one of those people, a bit like Braun, that Sidgwick said at the time, if you let him go, when you bring him back, everyone will have forgotten the fact that you kind of buggered them up the last time.
Yeah, for sure. I think so, yeah. I know there were some creative differences between him and Vince McMahon, but, stuff like that can be panned out over the years. If there's any hesitation, right, I think it would probably be on Wyndham's side. He would probably sit there and go, I didn't really like a lot of what happened during my run there. Maybe I don't want to go back and have someone else controlling my direction or whatever.
Narrative.
Oh, what if he ends up there?
Well, let's not forget as well,
Control
this
your narrative.
weekend is as well Hell in a Cell.
Oh, Queen's-
The scene of the crime.
Oh, imagine that. The cell comes down. Who's in the cell again?
Cody and Seth.
Cody and Seth.
Seth.
Cody pulls out a big hammer. The lights turn red. We've booked it.
There you go. Sorry for spoiling it, everyone. Let us know your thoughts
People
on...
get really upset when we
Yeah.
spoil shows, and we've just spoiled the show without giving a warning.
Who spoiled it 5 days in advance or whatever it
We
is.
must be those, what did he call them? Irrelevant clowns.
Hello. Right, let's talk about WWE and their title plans being, quote, dead in the water. This comes from Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio. And surprise, surprise, he's talking about the Women's Tag Team Championships. So WWE, you may remember, on the 20th of May episode of SmackDown, announced they're going to do a big tournament with all of probably about 4 teams in it to replace Sasha and Naomi, with all their putting their titles on John Laurinaitis' desk and walking out and quite right, and we stand with them, and etc. etc. So WWE went, oh, aren't they the baddies here? And oh, you deserve better. So the championships are vacated, and we're going to find 8 women who've never tagged together in the past and chuck them into some teams and have a tournament. Well, now apparently those plans are completely dead in the water. There was a 4-team match also idea pitched, a fatal 4-way sort of tag match to decide the new champs. That hasn't been signed off yet. The Women's Tag Team Championships are, quote, in limbo. Why am I not surprised by this whatsoever?
Yeah,
Andy?
it's like, why are you going to announce a tournament and then go, actually, oh, wait, maybe you shouldn't have done that? It's really stupid.
They think about things less than a week in advance, don't
Yeah.
they?
Oh, absolutely. Less than an hour in advance.
They've got to get this Lacey Evans
Yeah.
story. They said on Raw last week, Lacey Evans back wrestling in the ring. First time since the 15th of February 2021. And then this week they just went,
Nah. Yeah, gonna do something else instead. Yeah, I mean, they transparently haven't cared about these belts in forever. That was
since the
obviously-
Iconics lost them, I think.
Obviously. That was clearly a big bone of contention for Sasha and Naomi before they walked out. So, yeah, nothing changes. I'm not surprised by this whatsoever. I wouldn't be entirely surprised if, like, a month later they went, actually, we will do our tournament. But it's just the most women's tag team titles in WWE thing of all time to announce one and then just not do it.
Get
'Cause
rid
you
of
have no
them.
teams.
Get rid of them. They're pointless. They are not going to invest in women's tag wrestling
No.
on the main roster. It's not going to happen. You haven't got any teams. Like you and I could come up with 4 teams now. I know you've got Natalya and Shayna. You've got DJ and Nikki ASH.
Even then, they've been together for 5
Also,
minutes.
did I see a tweet recently that I think it was Meltzer adjacent of someone saying, I read this in the Observer or whatever, and it was like those 2 teams, and then one of them was Carmella and Queen Zelina. I'm fairly certain they broke up.
Yes, they did. They did. But you are a goldfish, sir, and we would like you to forget about that. Anyway.
I hate this.
Fish impression. Right, MJF. Got some...
Speaking of things that are fishy,
We've been talking about this guy a lot lately, but we've got a new update here, and it's quite a significant one. It's from Wade Keller, who was on the Pro Wrestling Torch VIP audio, his paid gimmick on his website where he produces lots of great content. But
Yes.
he's got a bunch of backstage notes on this. It's a really in-depth report, and a lot of it revolves around his pay. So MJF's pay has been the core of his issues with AEW and renegotiating his contract. And you know the drill. But basically, Keller here revealing that MJF was actually on significantly more than the starter rate that AEW paid at the beginning when it was signing loads of people up, which was roughly between $40,000 to $70,000 annually. That would have been offered to several early signings, people who they weren't sure if they were going to work out, etc., etc. But MJF had actually signed for a raise after that and was earning significantly more than that figure. However, he is still earning only a modest sum compared to some people who have come into the company since he got his increase. Keller actually named Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, Adam Cole, Malachi Black, Mark Henry, and Christian Cage as examples of people who currently earn more money than MJF. There's around about a dozen of them, so there's quite a lot, more people who earn more money than MJF. Now, the most interesting part of this to me is that MJF apparently earns around 4 or 5 times less than people who are in a similar car position, so main eventers, people who are constantly in big feuds, people who are moving ratings in the right direction. And that's the basis of MJF's argument. I want to be paid the same as these. Look at my numbers, look at my performances. I get it, 100%. Now, a little bit more to this. By the 1st of January this year, MJF was looking for a deal comparable to those other people. He was kind of waiting for Tony to make the first move. When Tony didn't make the first move, talking about him like I know him.
Sweet TK.
Yeah, pays us every month, obviously. But when Tony didn't make that first move, he privately got quite upset about it, quite angry. So when they had their blow up, Tony was a bit taken aback by the situation. MJF got really worked up, basically, as is his right.
Yes.
And people close to the situation have claimed that while MJF was once really enthusiastic about his job and enjoyed a great relationship with Tony, and they talk ideas all the time, that's not necessarily the case anymore. And MJF has become withdrawn and bitter about the situation backstage. Now, of course, the latest on that situation is that him and Tony had some meetings after Las Vegas, after Double or Nothing. MJF, PW Insider reported yesterday that MJF was actually spotted in LAX yesterday, and Dynamite's in Los Angeles this week, so that's interesting. Now, I can tell you've got some stuff, you're pent up, you're ready to go, you're ready to do your thing. Video editor, please just do the thing. Do the thing that we spoke about earlier this morning. All right, mate, just tell us about your best mate.
Okay, I just want to say that I stand with MJF, and everything you told me there I already knew because he already told me because we're best friends, obviously. But yeah, he completely is justified in this argument. Now, I know some people may sit there and say, "Oh, well, you know, if you're someone in the name recognition of CM Punk or Bryan Danielson, you deserve it." And I'm not saying that they don't deserve that money. What I'm saying is MJF has literally had the best feud in AEW history. And he deserves to be at that top level because he is a top level star. I know he's never been world champion yet, but he will be, and he's going to be the biggest star in wrestling. So, yeah, pay the man.
And he's your best mate.
And he's my best friend.
Well, I'm glad you actually said stand up for MJF and all that stuff there, because on the screen as you delivered that diatribe was this.
Yes!
Sensational. Thank you to Gav, at GavCW90.
Nice, Gav.
Nice guy. Like me, shares terrible taste in football teams. He supports Hibs, but, you know, we share that pain together. Thank you, Gav. That was tremendous.
Yes.
Pay the man.
I stand by everything I just said, and I stand with MJF. Why wasn't Lacey Evans on Raw this week? She was at a car race, that's why. Like I said, WWE just went, bollocks, we advertised her, but who cares? No one will remember. PW Insider's Mike Johnson confirmed that rather than have her show up and probably have some sort of squash match again, the first match was going to be since the 15th of January 2021, she went to the Coca-Cola 600 race in Charlotte. You know, that race that we love every year, Andy.
Yeah.
She was the Grand Marshal
QT
for the race. And yeah, they just don't give a crap about consistency or delivering on promises, I suppose. But I don't think they know what the character they've got yet.
Yeah.
They sort of debuted her, obviously all the very deep stuff, real stuff about her life, her upbringing, the struggles that she's gone through, inspirational stuff. Then they made her a bit of an RC heel with the you can stand up and give some support to Lacey Evans, and then they sort of moved her to Raw and went, no, look, she's just a woman of the people. I don't think they know what they're doing with her, so they went, let's give it another week, eh?
That's exactly it. That's almost certainly exactly it. I did like Lacey's tweet where she was like, she posted some photos from the event and was like, I've injured my biceps from flexing so much. That's kind of like, that's a pretty funny cover up.
It's like which way's the
thing.
pub or whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of, I enjoy that.
Yes.
Fair play to Lacey Evans.
As with all these things, when we bury the wrestler, we bury the wrestler's character, because WWE are doing it poorly, not the person.
Not the person, exactly.
Because, they're the one trying to exploit her genuinely tough upbringing and her inspirational story.
Yeah, so
book better, WWE.
Yeah. Hopefully we get to see her wrestling again soon.
Yes, fingers crossed.
It's been a while.
In
the words of Steen.
Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions. At WhatCulture WWE, of course, if you want to get in touch with us. Andy.
Hi.
Andy McManus, that is, gives us our first question of the day, saying, "Good morning, my very good friends. With all the hits with a trios title on AEW in the past week, do you think we'll have those titles by All Out?"
Ooh. Yeah, I do still think that they're waiting for Kenny Omega to be ready, good to go. Will Kenny Omega be good to go by then? I have serious doubts. I don't know.
Tape him back up.
Yeah, let's glue him together.
All he had was about 20 different injuries and vertigo.
Oh, it's just a wee headache, mate. Get over it.
Jeez, take your time, Ken.
I'm joking, of course. With all of the Kenny stuff, his situation, every single time there's an update, it's like, oh, it's actually worse than we thought. So I think he should take all the time in the world and should not be rushed. Obviously,
I think regardless of whether or not he's back by All Out, I'd have him by then.
Yeah.
You can always put him on Death Triangle and House of Black.
I would just bring them in right now and put them on the House of Black because those guys are so awesome. Like it had a couple of like sloppier moments, but I don't care because the match was still awesome on the pay-per-view. I think like when Brody King dived over the top, hit his back on the apron, so many people would have like a lot of wrestlers would have maybe let that be a bit disruptive and like had gone, oh, I've messed up. Brody King just stood up and went,
so good,
so awesome. I'd put them on the House of Black because
bring them in, put them on the House of Black.
They had corpse paint and stuff. It was like mayhem or wrestling.
I want to see them. You know, with all the photos I've seen of some of the AEW stars just sat by the pool in Vegas or partying. I want to see what the House of Black got up to in Vegas.
House of Black.
Do you think they
table
put it all on black?
They're wearing the
and then if the woman was like, I'm sorry, it's red. They just misted her and legged it.
I love
Julia, you know what to do.
I think they might be my favourite trio in wrestling. They're so awesome. Put it on them.
Yes.
August, yes, good.
Cyhawks is our second question of the day. I mentioned this earlier. With Bray Wyatt teasing his imminent return and CM Punk needing a title feud, how do you feel about Wyatt turning up on AEW Dynamite? What, tomorrow? Wait, what day is it? Tonight.
Tonight, yeah.
And kicking it right off. Anyone but you, Phil. Anyone but you.
I think that would be extremely popular with Bray Wyatt devotees. But I'm very reticent to say that Bray Wyatt or Wyndham Rotunda, whatever his name's going to be, will show up in AEW because I don't think he'd be fully satisfied in AEW, honestly. No. I don't think that his brand of creativity really jives with the rules that Tony Khan has created for his wrestling world, where supernatural stuff isn't so widespread. Obviously, there are teases of it with various things the House of Black do, right? And Matt Hardy is teleported. But Tony Khan has previously stated, well, the teleporting was my biggest regret as a promoter. So while I think that he would allow little things like the House of Black have the corruption and all of that stuff, I don't think it would be to the extent that Wyndham Rotunda clearly enjoys. So I don't think that he's going to end up in AEW on a long-term basis purely because I don't think it'd be a good fit. I think he'd be a lot happier somewhere else where he can use the full breadth of his specific brand of creative.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think if they were going to bring him in, they may have already done it. Sure. When they had the wave of Punk, Danielson, Cole, all those sorts of people. I think it may have already happened if they were going to do it. And I think Pasty bet, if we were going to do it, we're not going to do it because I think we're going to probably agree. If you were going to say where's he going to go, WWE or AEW, me and Andy would both say Impact.
Yeah, like if Impact. I don't know what their monetary situation is right now, but if they could afford him, they would just snap his hands.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they've done the Undead Realm, they've done various other things.
It just works best.
Yeah, it's a perfect fit, and it would be really. I'm waffling here. I'm sorry, but it would be a really good for them as well because it would probably put a lot of new eyes on their product. Because people love Bray Wyatt.
Let's not forget the Impact was originally Impact and a few other places was where Matt Hardy went, I'll just reinvent myself and make this completely,
I'm going to teleport with a drone. Yeah, I love it.
And look how that got over, so who knows. Yeah. But we'll keep you posted on any developments with that. Heath Davis gives us our final question of the day. Hello, legends and King of the Mic. Heath. Thanks, Heath. It's his birthday. You have to be nice to him. Actually, it was his birthday yesterday, but it's still counts.
It's not your birthday,
it's a special birthday one. Ooh!
One of these days. We'll be in the same place at the same time. Punk, Limp Bizkit lyrics,
Today's my birthday. Yesterday, apologies, Heath, but belated happy birthday from all of us here at WhatCulture.
Despite your crimes.
Who do you think will be the first multi-time world champion AEW? Also for my birthday, can you bring back the Rampage rap? That was a rap I used to do on our Rampage preview podcast. No Rampage preview this week, unfortunately, Heath, because of the Queen. So maybe in a few weeks I'll bring it back. How about that, Heath? Yeah. Just as a special one for your birthday. But yeah, multi-time champion, world champion AEW. Who do you reckon it's going to be?
I think Hangman Page. I think that his second reign is going to be more defining of his AEW legacy than his first, and I think his first was good. I'm not one of these people who thinks it was a bust. I would debate that quite strongly, in fact. I think he had a good run. But I do think his second will be stronger. I think his character will be more evolved. He'll be more decisive. We'll end up in a situation where, he hesitated with the belt. We will end up in a situation 1-2 years from now where he's in the exact same spot in a match and he doesn't hesitate because he's grown. I think that the lineage is Michael Hamflett's lineage, which is
Love that.
CM Punk, Eddie Kingston for 5 minutes, MJF,
Yes.
Hangman Page.
I like that as an idea. I was going to say it's harder to book this in AEW because they don't really have transitional champions apart from Eddie Kingston, as we booked there.
Poor Eddie.
I would be tempted to say MJF, but I think he's just going to have a really long reign.
Well, he's never going to lose it. He's so good. He's
never not lost a match
He's
yet.
just so good at wrestling.
So you know what? I'm going to say... I want to say Moxley or Jericho. No, Punk. I think Punk defends it for a while, drops it to Eddie Kingston, and maybe heel Punk gets it back again at some point.
He could turn heel and cruelly beat Eddie for it. That would be good as well.
I think if this reign does numbers, I think he's probably one of the safest bets there. But yeah, who knows? To be honest, it's pulling a name out of hat. I think anyone who's been a champion before. Omega, have I not mentioned? I've basically named all of them, but I'll go with Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Let's move on to today's and finally, and shout out to
Hobbs.
Oh, what a champ he'd be.
I love that
Starks. Dan Miller Perez.
Taz!
Gives our and finally today. And you know the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson.
I've just seen a reflection of this in your glasses.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
What about instead of Matt and Nick Jackson, Flat and Thick Jackson? There's the new Young Bucks. We can't have the Friday news madness here because, again, the Queen's got a celebration or something, so we're off the next couple of days. So I thought I'd bring Friday early with this. Dan Miller Perez, excellent work.
Oh my goodness.
10 out of 10.
The Flatbucks. Oh, Dan, you're a legend. I'm going to retweet this. You know what? I'm going to do this right now as we're on the video because that is just absolutely fantastic.
Right, let us know your thoughts on that and all today's news stories in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcast from, for daily wrestling podcasts. We're reviewing NXT a little bit later on and looking ahead to AEW Dynamite as well. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Or actually, follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at...
You follow me at Andy H. Murray. The H today stands for Happy Weekend, you UK people. And a reminder to our American viewers, we're not back here until Monday, unfortunately. It is the Queen's Jubilee. We have 2 days off. I'm not a royalist, but I'm going to take the days off
Thanks,
regardless.
Queenie.
Thanks, Lizzie. Yeah.
Get your bunting out.
What am I doing? I'm retweeting
You can
this.
follow me at Adam Wilborn. You can follow Dan Miller Perez for the Young Bucks. What did you call them?
The Flatbucks.
The Flatbucks, thank you. At Dan Miller Perez, at What Culture WWE for all of us. But for now, my thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for joining us.
Look at it, man.
And we will see you soon.
My favourite thing ever.